Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars. Tonight, we crowned 3 champions this evening at the home of the World Finals, the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 2024 season officially closes with the cherry on top. It's the season finale of Monday Night Madness. In the Renegades division, Patrick Spangler has been the best driver all season long. He's 1 race away from another championship in his illustrious career. But Chad Griggs looking for a possible upset. It will be very tough, though, to do so tonight in Griggs' second Renegade season. And the Rebels, a tight battle as well. Brian Moore Jr., couple of points with the advantage on Brandon Dittmer. But we start things off with Open 358 Modifieds, 3 drivers with a chance at the championship this evening. On your screen, Isaac Salas, Anthony Morano, Sam Bachman, the 3 that will battle it out. We will keep you posted on how the points look as soon as possible after the checkered flag waves. We're so glad you could join us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network and Slide Job Racing Network. Marty Sakala with you. Thanks for joining us this evening. We hope you all had a great Thanksgiving up in America. The Canadians had to go on with work. Great car count this evening for Open 358's 26 drivers tonight. That means we'll have 4 heat races. We will have a B main. Actually, check that, 27 drivers. In the last second, Logan Wentz just made his way on in. Qualifying is just about set to go. We'll get the first driver on the racetrack. That'll be the driver of the 33, John Morano. 2 minutes to qualify here. 2 laps. Show us what you got. Lap 1 underway for the driver of the 33. See John running the cushion here early. He'll set the bar here in qualifying. As the lap times start to come in, Morano goes with a 16:46. Michael Vitale to the top, 16:04. Joseph Grandy puts up on his first lap second quick at a 16:05. He's about 200ths off the pace of the Jokesters running right now. Here comes Vitale off at turn 4 to the checkered flag. Is this a better lap for him? He's on the pole, but Sam Bachman goes quick time. 15:5:998, the only 15-second lap we've got on track right now. Trevor Giroux just came across the line, finishing lap 2. He clocks in at a 16:07, sixth quickest. Meanwhile, Isaac Salas, quick time, 15:94. He's 500ths quicker than one of his nemesis in the 007. Check on here where Anthony Morano is. In qualifying, he went 9th on his lap. Kurt Schatzer across the line with under 10 seconds left to go. Kelly Wheeler up to 9th. Schatzer, a better lap, 16:138. Wentz won't get in time. Salas the quickest, and so Brian Dickens, Kurt Schatzer, Michael Vecchio, Eddie Brissett, your pole sitters for each of our 4 heat races this evening with our open 358s. We're ready to go for heat race number 1. That's brought to you by Gambler Motorsports, an official team of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Here's how they line up. It's Brian Dickens is on the pole in the 122. Next to him, it's Kelly Wheeler in the 110. Row number 2, the Bandit, Randall Dixon in the 11, and Slide Job, Isaac Salas in the 5. Row number 3, the Moose have been let loose for heat race number 1. Joe Musso in the 00 and Jake Musso in the 44. Final car on the grid this evening, Jake the Snake Henry. He's in the 171. We are excited for tonight. As always, our friends for Monday Night Madness is brought to you by Extreme eSpeed TV, the Open 358s. Are brought to you by our friends at Regency Home Inspection, proud partner of Brian Lawson. Well, as always, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. We'll give you a shout out live and on the air. Hello to our buddy Butters, as always, checking in. I think we all know who he's rooting for by now. He's rooting for Venom Racing, hoping for Isaac Salas to start on the pole. Just got the 7 drivers on the track. And they roll off here. Three drivers in the battle for the championship tonight. We've got one of those drivers, your points leader, Salas, coming in a dominant season so far. Actually going to go 1 extra lap until we go green. Hopefully we see this down to 1, especially with the big car count this evening. Steve King Foundation pace car is on pit road. Top 4 drivers transfer into tonight's feature. The winner is on pole position. Brian Dickens and Kelly Wheeler set to bring us to green, the 122 and the 110. Heat race number 1 underway for the Open 358s. Dickens washes up the hill. Kelly Wheeler decides not to go for the crossover. Salas looks underneath near contact. As you see Wheeler in that 110 Manny had a handful there in turn 3. Battle for 4th breaks out between the Moose clan. Randall Dixon, some slight contact with Jake Musso. That 44 with the slight advantage on corner exit. Jake with the edge. Looks like a battle at Daytona on the final lap between the two Moose clan, the Moose members. Because you know them, they're always good at the asphalt tracks and always like to battle it out in a photo finish. Salas looks slow on Kelly Wheeler. Cannot make the pass work. Remember, Salas was the quickest driver in qualifying. Jake Musso up 2 spots and highly approaching the 5 of Salas. This could make things interesting here. We'll have to see. But this is what you want if you're both Morano and Bachman. This would put Salas 9th on the grid. 1 spot is 4 spots per feature. Try to make the pass there for a second. Could not get that to work. He'll look, but up the wall goes slide job. Had to lift off the throttle and caught it. Meanwhile, Dickens still with company from Callie Wheeler as Salas sends her deep. Off at turn 2, great onboard for the back of Dickens. Wheeler, the quickest driver on track last time by. We're coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go here in heat race number 4. Heat race number 1 of 4, I should say. Who is going to start on the pole? Dickens leaves the top open. Callie Wheeler's got a shot, but Dickens to send it in to protect the slider line. No yaw in 3 and 4 for Dickens. Wheeler's got a chance. Side by side, it's Dickens. They say Wheeler, though, by 5,000s. We'll have to check with iRacing, but I thought it was Dickens at the line. 1,000th of a second for Kelly Wheeler per iRacing. You gotta be kidding me. Like right here, it looks easily to be the 122, but you gotta look a little bit closer than that, and this will give you the best idea. Man, oh man, how close that is. Man, I tell you what, I wonder if the transponder on the 110 was moved just a little bit up front to try and get that 1,000th of a second advantage, possibly. Anyway, moving on. Heat 2 brought to you by Regency Home Inspections, proud partner of Brian Lawson, the Venom Racing Clan. Regency Home Inspections, the official sponsor of the Open 358s. Superman, Kurt Schatzer on the pole in the 218. Next to him, the Magic Ant-Man, Anthony Morano in the 32. Row number 2, you've got Scott Rayome in the 4. Slide job Scotty next to Sam Bachman in the 107. Row 3, John Morano in the 33. And the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Steven Goldner rounds out the grid. He starts from 7th. 2 championship contenders in heat race number 2. Morano and Bachman trying to use it to their advantage as we're green. Good run for Morano around the outside for the race lead. And he's got it, the Magic Ant-Man to lead the opening lap. All of FTM utilizing the top shelf around this racetrack, except for John Morano, who's downstairs. Bachman looking for spots. He may go 2 for 1, 3 wide for second. Bachman needs the spots, though, that's for sure, if he wants some sort of chance of the championship. He's got the toughest chance to win it. We're nearly 4 wide for the race lead. Just remember, we saw the drivers here, I believe the last time we were at Charlotte a couple weeks ago, the drivers went 5 wide. I believe it was on lap 2 of the Open 358 feature. Here comes Rayome for the race lead. Not really what Morano wants, as he needs all the positions here. Onboard slide job Scotty. Bachman needs all the positions though. Morano would be fine with finishing second, but obviously he wants to start in the front row tonight. Bachman needs a heat win here. 3 to go in heat 2. Rayom underneath for the race lead. Slide job, Scotty. Morano counters the back and hangs on with 2 to go. And Bachman's look gave Schatzer the advantage. He's up to third. 16-12 last time by. Tries to thread the needle. FTM bread sure tastes pretty good right now. So we've got 1 to go in Heat 2. Rayom trying to seal it just like how Kelly Wheeler did. But Morano defending perfectly into the corners. And the Magic Ant-Man on the front row, just what he needs to help him out towards the championship. Morano wins Heat 2. Rayom second, Schatzer third, Bachman fourth. There are the transfer cars. Dittmer fifth, John Morano sixth, Stephen Goldner seventh. We now move to Heat 3, brought to you by Maurer Farm Management, and here's the starting lineup. Michael Vecchio on the pole in the 247, a proud partner of us on Thursday nights. Next to him, it's Soupy Dan McLaren in the 88. Row number 2, the Philly Flyer, Trevor Drew in the 075, and the Jokester, Michael Vitale in the 213. Row 3, the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75, and Logan Wentz next to him in the 118. And the final car on the grid schedule this evening, the General, Andy Patton in the 87. See who's checking in here. Jeff Barker wondering where Butters races. Jack Cote back with us. The Bills did look good last night. We're definitely hyped up. It's not only just winter season, but it's also MVP season. For a man named Joshua Patrick Allen, as Michael Vecchio getting a little fancy on the loud pedal.
Green, green, green.
Green is out for Heat 3. Oh, McLaren and Vecchio have contact. 4 wide for second, nearly 5 wide once again. And through goes Trevor Drew. Things went awry all around with that front row. No call for Andy Patton, by the way, on the grid. Lap 1 led by the Philly Flyer. But I know who's going to be exchanging Christmas gifts this year, McLaren and Drew. Vitale looking for the second position as we just had trouble with Steve Bixler. In 75, he's pulled her onto pit road. It's our first crash of the night as we watch our battle for second. Ooh, slight contact once more. Here's a look at what happened to the Mayor. Around the outside of Vecchio, caught the wall all by himself. And just hooked on. And hung on as well. Logan Wentz with a final transfer spot as he's taking it over Michael Vecchio. Man, that's a tough break. The man that was third quickest in qualifying may be in the B main this evening. We'll have to fight for a spot in. Wentz underneath on Dan McLaren. Vecchio wants it back. Tried it for the risky slider. Nothing worked there. Wentz wants an insurance spot for McLaren. He's trying to grab it once again on board with a 118. Went in deep. He nearly caught that Uke tire. In turn 3 was side by side for just a moment. Wentz forces McLaren up. Great battle for third, and Soupy's hanging on. Look at Logan go once more with a slider. Logan so good on corner entry. McLaren much better on corner exit. As they are door-to-door for third. Beautiful slider for Logan Wentz. McLaren counters. That was it. Oh, man. I was getting so excited. Trevor Drew won the heat. Vitale second. Vecchio, Bixler, and Patton down to the beam. And I am so sorry, Philly Flyer. Final heat race set to go. Here's the starting lineup as Eddie Brissett is on the pole in the 015. Next to him, it's Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 2, Dean Reynolds in the 79, and 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Final row tonight, Bud Molyneux in the 883, and Canada Connor Ross in the 35. Cote says some guy named Saquon Barkley may have other plans. Hey, if it were not for Josh Allen in a season where this team is pretty much rebounded after a lot of key losses on both sides, we're probably talking about a team that's fighting for the final wild card spot right now. So that's why Josh Allen should be MVP. And man, what a week UCI gets engaged to Haley Steinfeld. Makes a touchdown pass to himself as a equivalent to a Gordie Howe hat trick. And wins that game. Big hello as well to Bill Calder. We're very glad that he is with us in the chat on Champions Night. As Zach Chapman's had issues in the 72. Joseph Grandy has to check up because of it. But regardless, we're green for our final heat race of the night with the top 4 transfer. Oh, Shaggy sideways in front of Grandy. Hello, B-Main for both of them. We may have your top 4 all figured out by now. As you've got Dean Reynolds looking low on Brissett for the race lead. There he goes. See if he sends her a little bit deep. Nope, he doesn't. You know, trying to help out his FTM buddies. And trying to get the top contact between the leaders. Reynolds just slowed up just a little bit. Sends her deep with a slide job. Brissett reads it well. And counters at the 0-15, still hanging on for the lead. He tries to pinch his way up, but still door to door. And Reynolds clears. So Dino out in front, but keep your eyes out on the guy in third. That's Bud Molyneux. And if I recall correctly earlier this year, Molyneux's podium came at this track. He's 8th in points on the season. Connor Ross set to pass for third. I hope I'm wrong. It was Lucas Oil Speedway where we had that podium finish. But I believe he's been good at this track in the past as Canada Connor officially takes away P3. Hey, we all may have to make a trip to his neck of the woods come the week of May when it's like, what is it? I would consider it unofficially 410 Sprint Car Week in Western New York in Canada. When the Outlaws come to Ohsweken Speedway. Chapman has put his car in the pit, on the pit road. Final lap is underway for the driver of the Super Dirt Car Series, number 79, Dean Reynolds. Through turns number 3 and 4, sees the checkers. He'll start outside of row number 2 tonight. Battle for second. We've got Brissett by 100th of a second. Connor Ross had a really good look at it. Bud Molyneux finishes 4th. So now it is B-Main time here tonight. Last chance showdown. Here's a look at the lineup as a Moose is on the pole. Joe Musso in the 00. Next to him, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Row number 2, Michael Vecchio in the 247. Next to Shaggy, Zach Chapman in the 72. Row 3, Jake the Snake Henry in the 171. And John Morano in the 33. Row 4, the Mayor, Steve Bixter in the 75. Next to 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Rounding out the top 10 here this evening in our B-Main, Randall Dixon, the band in the 011, and Stephen Goldner in the 30. Andy Patton once again does not grid. I wonder if he hit the race button by mistake instead of the watch button. But we'll keep your eye on that 5th row very closely. Both of them know how to get it done at Charlotte. Dixon in a modified. Goldner, of course, in a sprint car, knows how to get it done here. Gary Sigelcow checking in. Waiting for Venom Racing. Cote says he's got Allen in fantasy. The guy's a stud. Yeah, so does Josh Allen. Why wouldn't he have him in his fantasy lineup? So we're green for the B-Main. We'll focus on the 8th place driver after lap number 1, Joe Musso. Good start from Brandon Dittmer. But him and the Spider Monkey trying to trade the basement line. For the race lead on lap number 1, give it to Joe Musso. 8th spot belongs to the 33 of John Morano. That's the final spot in. Top 8 through, 9th through 10th, either going to drink a beer early or they'll get ready for the Rebels. Michael Vecchio in trouble. How did he keep it straight? I don't know, but let's see how the steering is for the 247. A lot of ground to make up. John Morano in trouble. Steve Bixler sideways as Morano leads on the Bandit. Bixler sideways right in front of the old 33. John finds a way to catch it. And now he's underneath on Goldner for 7th. This is some great racing for P8 and P7. Vecchio and Morano side by side. That's just what Bixler wants to see out of the rearview mirror. But here comes that 247 once again. Oh, look out. Bixler in the wall. They hooked. Bixler tried to come up. Vecchio underneath. Slide job for 8th. The 247 back up into the spot. Bixler almost gave the chrome horn at the 247. 3 cars all under a blanket. 8th spot is on the line. John Morano running out of time. He's got 4 laps. Oh, that may help him out. Big contact. Goldner up on the wall with Steve Bixler. And now Bixler's got the final transfer spot. I don't know what happened with Goldner, if he ran out of room or something. But now the 30 is hanging on to a spot in. And it makes me wonder tonight if he put in the baseline setup that iRacing gives you, either that or not the Swan baseline setup or his own custom setup. We'll have to see. 2 laps to go. He's past John Morano for 9th. Now can he get Bixler for 8th? What a run this would be for the mayor if he can get it done. 2 laps to go in last chance showdown number 1. Goldner downstairs. Slide job for 8th. Goldner's got it. Bixler counters it back. 1 lap to go. Bixler with a slider of his own. He gives Goldner the room. They're still side by side. Goldner up on the wall. He tries to sound it downstairs. Oh, he caught the Uke tire. No yaw. Steve Bixler makes it in. Oh, baby. Joe Musso picks up the win in the B main. Whew. That was some hard racing. 2 drivers refusing to lose, refusing to quit. Bixler tried to center, then he knew he would not have enough. And that was it. So our warm-up is underway. We'll step aside, take a break. Stay with us on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Final moments here underway before we go racing here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Marty Cicala with you. We're so glad you could join us here tonight. Connor Ross checking in, talking a little bit about Osh Weekend. Hopefully the crate sprints are on the card along with the World of Outlaws. Crate sprints are pretty good with the 305s. Of course, the 410s will be much more powerful. Kelsey checking in, rooting for Isaac. And Bill says a long way to go yet, but the stroke is not going to beat me. That a boy, Bill. For those wondering why we did that tribute for Bill, I believe it was last week. Bill suffered a little mini stroke and was in the hospital recovering, but I believe he is now home, which is great to see. He's been posting updates on the Coast to Coast Racing League Lounge, where we all talk from time to time. Really good to see Bill watching tonight's championship race. As we are set to go for our first feature of the night, let's meet the field and we'll give you your starting lineup. Starting lineup brought to you by RSN Trackside. As Callie Wheeler on the pole in the 110. Next to him, it's the Magic Ant-Man, Anthony Morano in the 32. Row number 2, the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux in the 75. And Dean Reynolds in the 79. Row 3, Brian Dickens, the 122. And Slide Job Scott Rayome in the 4. Row number 4, the Jokester, Michael Vitale in the 213. And Eddie Brissett in the 015. Rounding out the top 10, it's Slide Job, Isaac Salas in the 5, and Superman, Kurt Schatzer in the 218. Row number 6, Logan Wentz in the 118, and Connor Ross in the 35. Row 7, it's Joe Musso in the 44, and Sam Bachman in the 007. Row 8, Dan McLaren, he's in the 88, and Bud Molyneux in the 883. Row 9, Joe Musso in the 00, and the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in car 83. Row number 10, it is Shaggy Zach Chapman, the 72, and 100 grand, Joseph Granny in the 518. Row 11, the Bandit, Randall Dixon in the 011, and Jake the Snake Henry in the 171. Final row this evening, Michael Vecchio in the 247, and the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. 30 laps around the corner, my pick to win this evening. Give me... You know, I didn't pick him at all Thursday. I didn't want to jinx him, but I'll pick him tonight because it's Monday. Why not? Give me Dino for the win from 4th. We'll just have to see what happens. "24 drivers, 30 laps. A champion will be crowned tonight. 3 drivers in the running. Isaac Salas, Anthony Morano, Sam Bachman. The numbers on the right, their worst finishes of the season. Salas has to beat 20th to drop. Morano must beat 15th. Bachman must beat 16th. Time to shake and bake for the first time tonight at Charlotte. It's time to get it on. Flatline Racing Bodies, green flag is out. 30 laps. We're 3 wide already for the race lead, but the yellow flag waves. The big one in turn 3. Schatzer on his lead. Brissett, Grandy, Dittmer, Henry, all involved. So we go to the Malcolm's Mill running replay for our first caution of the night and show you what happened. Watch the Spider Monkey. Nope, it starts with Schatzer. Got turned up in the air, went Superman. And Brissett had a roof full. Let's get you another angle here with Schatzer. Up in the fencing. Right on board with Eddie Brissett. Fast Eddie probably had the best view of anyone. Yep, the 2 simply touched. And there it went. Not the start. About a quarter of the field wanted, as they'll have to use a quick repair. Give you one more here, Joseph Grandy. Try this once again. One lap is complete. Nobody moves up a spot unless you're involved in an accident. Then you go down. Try this once again. Good jump from Kelly Wheeler as Morano and Giroux side by side for the second position. Dino follows Toe. 3 wide up in mid-pack as lap number 2 is led by the 110 of Kelly Wheeler. Giroux still trying everything downstairs for that runner-up spot. Not working where he wants to go. Meanwhile, Isaac Salas up through to the 6th spot. He started 9th. He's up to 6th. So 3 spots he has gained early. Morano now looking underneath for the race lead. Up the hill goes the 32. Wheeler able to counter it back. Side by side, Wheeler by a nose. We've got Sam Bachman mid-pack in 11th. We saw Reynolds had to lift there to avoid rear-ending the 110. He's got company underneath as well. That's Giroux, 3 wide for 2nd spot. Ooh, hang on, Trevor, 4 wide for the race lead for just a split second. Look how tight the racing is early at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Up the hill goes Wheeler once again, and folks, watch out for that 883 of Bud Molyneux. He's the quickest car on track. He started 16th. He's up to 8th. We're nearly 4 wide once again as Rayom and Salas are leaning on another. And Morano has cleared Dean Reynolds by 0.3 of a second. Wheeler's by himself in 3rd, still 3 wide for 4th. Too close to call between Giroux or Rayom at the line. Rayom with a big sign. Salas, so good up on that top shelf. May have edged out his teammate at the line. As we work lap number 10, let's go to the fall to the 5-lap average for the first time this evening. Your top 2 have clearly checked out the hotel over everyone else, Morano and Reynolds. Sam Bachman up in 8th is pretty fast as well with that number 7. Rayom for the bottom step of the podium on Kelly Wheeler trying to make it an FTM podium lockout. Reynolds showing some good speed on his teammate, but he knows Morano needs every point possible. Morano looking for win 4 in the air. Kelly Wheeler has crashed with Connor Ross, and Isaac Salas may be involved in this. He's faded to the back. Something has gone amiss on the right front of the 5, I believe. He has no steering one bit. Big implications towards the championship. And Salas, got to get it back up. You can't use a toe at this point. Everything is going downhill for him. Oh no! Isaac having to use a toe. What happened to Kelly Wheeler? Was there contact for the 5? No, Kelly caught the wall right in front of Salas. No steering and hard contact in the wall. On board with Canada Connor. Salas just didn't see that coming one bit, and Connor had absolutely nowhere to go. Car goes up on 2 wheels. To even say up on 4 wheels with all the impacts he took. A reminder, let's go back to the points. In the parentheses, the worst finishes on the year. For Salas, it's 20. Now, because he has missed a race, Can only drop one. And Salas has scored in last. We're back to green. We'll have to see how things shake up here. Salas will go a lap down. And the chances for a championship are likely over. Battle for second, Reynolds and Rayome and Giroux. Can the Philly Flyer get on the bottom step of the podium? How about Bachman and Molyneux? Bachman up 9, Giroux up 10. Randall Dixon in the 011 up 13. He is up to 9th. What a run for the Bandit, who has won at Charlotte in the past in this series. Philly Flyer doing everything he can to grab second. Hanging out up top. Yellow. And we've got Michael Vecchio and Dan McLaren. And we're hearing maybe Brandon Dittmer as well. This was the first moment here with the Spider Monkey. Hello, Tory Tire. Oh, hello, 2 Tory Tires. 3. Can I get a 4th? Nope. And then here's Dan McLaren. So Dittmer was not the cause for the yellow. Dan McLaren just spun out. Oh, that was very strange. He almost took out some light poles there. So this had to have been the cause of yellow here with Michael Vecchio. Oh, yeah. Bixler gone to Jake Henry. Vecchio went around Brissett with a great miss. So every restart rest of this race will be single file. Going green this time by. So Morano the leader. Reynolds second. Giroux third. Rayome fourth. Bachman fifth. Molyneux sixth. Wentz seventh. Dixon eighth. Dickens ninth. And Vitale 10th. Molyneux and Dixon each up at least 10 spots. We could see maybe 4 or 5 drivers all together hit up 10 as we're back to green. Morano holds serve down low. Scotty trying to thread the needle with his teammate underneath. Giroux closing pretty well there on Dean Reynolds that last time by. But still has Rayome to deal with. We've got 12 laps remaining. Some close racing all around here at Charlotte. Dixon and Vitale battling for 9th. Dixon still trying to get that hard charger award. And now the race for second. Giroux underneath. Reynolds a little bit tight there through the corner unless Giroux went in deep and forced him up. Man, the Philly Flyer nearly catches the Uke tire. Put your top 3 all under a blanket for the race lead. Different line by the Venom driver compared to FTM. 9 laps of racing remaining. And a look at the 5-lap average once again. I got a feeling the quickest car on track is Giroux, and it is. Randall Dixon, I believe it is, also looking quick. But that's actually Brian Dickens, rather. Reynolds around the outside for the lead. Look at Giroux. That thin of a gap contact. They doored each other, and Giroux caught the wall. 7 laps of racing to go. Now it's Giroux downstairs for second. Oh, hang on, Trevor. No! Dang it. Oh. Around goes the 75. No caution as he spun out in the grass. That puts him down to 17th. And it's come down to FTM drivers. They have the top 4 spots at the moment. First driver is in 5th. That's Brian Dickens and Bud Molyneux battling for the position. 5 laps of racing to go. Dino's got the best chance, though, to take this win away from Anthony Morano. The Magic Ant-Man looking for win 4 on the year. Dean's looking for his first win of the season in Open 358 competition. 4 laps of racing to go. Look at the lap times of the last time by. Morano slower by 100th. And you know they're going to race each other very clean. Obviously, Reynolds has won a lot of modified races, but he has never won in the Open 358 class. He's finished second 5 times tonight. He doesn't want to make it 6. More company from Rayom and Bachman right behind. Reynolds is there at the door. 2 laps to go. Top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. Dino can't get the grip there off in turn number 2. But he's so good in turns number 3 and 4. White flag waves. We're on the last lap. Dino's got the lead at the line. And now he's got the afterburners turned on. Morano not done yet. He can send it deep. Reynolds sends it deep though as well. Through 3, through 4. Dino gets the cookies and his first Open 358 win. Morano second, Rayom third, Bachman fourth. FTM sweeps the spots. Brian Dickens fifth. How about that race? What a finish. And let me tell you something. I feel like if it were not for Giroux spinning, I think we're talking about the 75 in victory lane right now. Reynolds your winner. And we're going to wait for the points to officially update. But I've got a good feeling that man in the middle is your 2024 Season 4 champion. We'll have to wait for what the points tell us. But Dean Reynolds, good for him. As we take a look at the results here, 1/4 of a second victory at the end. How about your top 4 separated by 0.6 of a second at the end? Bachman, your biggest mover, up 10. Molyneux and Grandy each went up 10 throughout the race as well. Give credit as well to Jake Henry up 9, Zach Chapman up 7. But the heartbreak of the night, without question, the entire Venom gang he saw. Giroux make his way up to 14th, but Isaac Salas involved in that second yellow. Dan McLaren also with an accident under green flag conditions. Still checking on the points here to see if Patrick's put them up yet. And nothing coming in just yet. All right, let's see here. Do we have your top 3 while we are at it? I know we can definitely talk with the 3rd place man. And we've got 3 your top 4. We got your entire top 3 is in, so we will begin with Slide Job Scotty finishing 3rd. Long time no see, man.
Yeah, it's been a few minutes.
Yes, it has. Hey, how about that race as a whole for FTM? That was close, and that was a whole lot of fun.
That was fun at the beginning there. Well, we must have been running 5, 6, 7 of us right in a pack right there at the front. It was a little nerve-wracking, not going to lie.
Definitely was. Take me through how your car was throughout the night.
It felt comfortable, real comfortable. I think I missed a little bit on the gear. I know the other guys were running just a touch higher than I was. I expected it to be a little bit more slick through like the middle of 1 and 2, but I mean, for the most part, right at the end there, Sam was catching me, and I was telling him, like one of our jokes in Discord is, "I'll just go get your interview," like when someone's about to pass us. But so he was catching me. I'm like, just go get your interview, Sam. And he's like, I got to get around you. And then I noticed where he was running on 3 and 4 was right up against the wall. And so I tried that, and I gained on Dino. So I was like, oh, that's actually pretty quick up there. So the top in 3 and 4 was definitely the place to be for me anyway.
Who do you want to give shout outs to on this run?
All the guys over there at Full Throttle Motorsports, Dino obviously over at Super Dirt Car. Things got a little heated in Discord earlier, so we all have to step back and take some deep breaths. And congratulations to Anthony. I'm not sure who ended up with the championship, but
we're
him
still
and Isaac,
waiting for that.
Him and Isaac, it's always a treat to run with those guys when they're in a points championship race like that. So. Gunnar at Swan Speed Shop, this was one of his setups. All of us ran it, as a matter of fact, and we just all changed the gear, but we were all on one of Gunnar's setups. So you, Marty, for another season of doing the broadcast, all the guys over at Coast to Coast for giving us a place to race, and I think that's it. I don't know.
All right. Well, hey, awesome job, man. Congratulations on a podium finish, and hopefully we're talking to you again on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be there yet, so we'll see.
All right, sounds good. Scott Rayone finishes 3rd. And let me see here if we've updated anything regarding... Still have nothing on that, so we're going to wait on Morano here in just a bit while they work on him, because I have a feeling he is going to take it all. Still waiting on Patrick to update that, but... Dino, you almost caught us at a bad time.
I'm not even going there.
Oh boy, I got something better than popcorn for you.
What's that?
Top shelf where Mama hides the cookies.
There you go. There you go.
Take me through it.
Well, I you know me. I love the top, and I found a nice lane. And the 3/4 top of 1 and 2, it was better than up top, although Trevor made the up top work a little bit better. But I always have a nice slider in 3 and 4. I do like doing that. And then I didn't think I was going to have enough to get Anthony, but a couple times he mic'd up in Discord and said, "Oop, I missed the bottom there. Oop, I missed the bottom there." And he made 2 mistakes, and I think that's all that helped me was get those 2 mistakes because he's just so good. But when Isaac disconnected, we were doing a little team orders there. I wasn't going to try to pass him at all, because we want to get him home for a championship, and we are a team, and we work together, and he'll do the same for me. So I was going to stay in second right to the end. But then when we saw Isaac disconnect, I said, well, it's fair game now. We're all going to go. And but it's funny. We were just talking to Trevor. When we race, Marty, we actually don't talk to each other. We don't say what we're doing. We don't say if we're going to throw a bomb, we're going to do this. Because I think the reason why is because we want to beat each other. So, but what a fun race. I just love Charlotte. Charlotte's my favorite track, and, have a lot of luck here. Got some wins here. And, this is one to cherish because when you talk Coast to Coast, you talk Anthony Morano and Isaac Salas. And, it's one time out of 100 you're going to get around them and actually get a win. And just happened to be tonight.
Well, you were here a few weeks ago, too, so that kind of helped.
As far as...
being in person at Charlotte a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, so yeah, no, it's funny though. The what you think might be in real life at the track is going to happen in iRacing, but there's only so much they can do. I actually get a little bit upset when people say it doesn't race like it really does. I go, guys, they change bankings, they put new different clay down, they do this, they do that. It's not going to be the same. And just race it the way iRacing prepares it, and it's your job to go learn it. And, especially with these open sets. Gives you a little bit extra to tweak, although the only thing I tweak is gear, because I used the Swan base. That's all I used. And, Charlotte just don't know whether it's the banking or the way it's shaped or what, but I just seem to have a little bit more speed here than I do a lot of the other tracks.
Well done tonight, man. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Well, I got to say thank you to all the guys at Full Throttle Motorsports. very proud of being part of this team. And not only did we get a sweep, we got a top 4. So that's the Grand Slam. I don't think that's the podium. We'll call it the Grand Slam. So that was really
space.
Yeah, and I mean, Trevor, he gave it all, and I tell you, it just, he hopped into Discord and congratulated us and class act, and got to thank those guys at Full Throttle Motorsports. Just a good team to be with. Swan Speed Shop, codename C2C, get 20% off all his sets. As I said before, Swanee likes doing 358 sets, and get in there and with his subscription, you get every set he has. And he's getting dig every morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. My phone goes off because I got the notifications on his Discord, and he's updating sets every day. So, get in there and support Swanee. Congratulations to Anthony and Isaac on a great battle for the championship. Is it official? Did Anthony get the title?
Yep, it is official. Morano by 29.
And, well, congratulations to Anthony on another championship. I mean, between him and Isaac, hopefully they'll spread some wealth and let us get a couple here down the road. But they are the kings of Coast to Coast, and it's fun just to race with them. And if I can finish ahead of them, it's just an extra bonus. Marty, thanks to you for doing the telecast. Thanks to Brian Lawson and Regency Home Improvements, Home Inspections. I keep on forgetting what it was. We gotta thank him, and hey, we gotta win. Good way to end the year.
Hey, it's your first Open 358 win too. You've won in all the other classes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. This is the big monkey off my back. I was me and Anthony were the big 2 proponents to Roger to do open set 358s and give it a shot. And, I like the fixed setup stuff because I like being even, but I said to Roger, there's no egos in the 358s, and he gave it a shot, and it's ironic. I don't know how many seconds I got. You could probably
6.
Look that up. Probably 812 seconds, but... but yes, finally my first win. So, yay!
Yeah. After 6 seconds, you finally get a win. Well done, man. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Marty. I appreciate it, man, and congratulations to everybody.
Absolutely. Dean Reynolds, your winner here tonight in Open 358. Now we talk to your champion in second. It's official. Anthony Morano, your champion. How's that feel, man?
That feels pretty damn good. We spend a lot of time with setups and stuff like that over at FTM and Swan Speed Shop, so to be able to get another one of these and bring it back over there is pretty sweet.
Take me through going into this day. Isaac started, I believe it was a 9th starting spot in the feature. You started second. It really was pretty much nearly a game of track position. You really wanted to have the momentum going on in.
Yeah, I think that's always a bigger thing. I know I didn't qualify as good as I hoped for sure, and Isaac got the 5 points going in, so I think we were 6 points going into the night and then another 5 for him there, so he would have had an 11-point gap going in, so I knew I had to work my tail off at that point. So I don't even know what happened. I haven't gone back and watched it yet, so I'll be doing that here in a minute and see what happened with him there. I would have liked to race him out for it up front, but sometimes that's just what happens.
How'd you feel about your car throughout the entire night?
It was pretty good. I ran a pretty tall gear so I can run the bottom in 1 and 2, and that always seems to work out in my favor, and then try to run a slider or something in 3 and 4. And I tried the bottom a few times center in 3 and 4. It was okay, but wasn't all that good. But then I missed the bottom a couple times in 1 and 2, and Dino just came flying up to me and went right around me like I was standing still. So we'll definitely take second. I think FTM finished 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's always a beautiful thing, sweeping the podium and getting a little extra on top.
Well, hey, well deserved, man. Who do you want to give shout outs to?
I gotta thank my wife Sherry, the boys over there at FTM, Dean with Super Dare Car, Logan at High Mom Lens, Gunner at Swan Speed Shop for all season making sure we got the best we can get. DJ Sim Shop, Expert Installation, Castleberry Flagstone, MDI TV, GripHack.com, Bowman's Designs, Regency Home Inspection, Marty, you and Shaggy for doing the broadcast for us all season, and everyone here at Coast to Coast.
All righty, man. Well, congratulations. Another championship to add to the mantelpiece. Well done, man.
Thanks, Marty.
The Magic Ant-Man, your champion. We will step aside as we go to break. Stay with us. Rebels coming up next to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Right when we talked about it.
Outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash, found out my brain was swelling and bleeding, pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Qualifying is just about set here to wrap up. Here with the Rebels division, Joseph Grandy the quickest at a 13:19. 2 heats are coming up for you this evening. And so Cale Bixler, Dan McLaren will be on the pole position for each heat. But we'll talk about the storylines here as we get ready to go for heat race number 1 tonight. And that, of course, is the championship battle coming in. Brian Moore Jr. leading by 34 points on Brandon Dittmer with 2 drops. And in fact, it's up 4 for Moore Jr. You can see the drivers' worst finish on the season. They each have missed 1 race so far on the year. So it's set for heat race number 1 for our Rebels division, brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. Our Rebels is always brought to you by our friends at Malcolm's Mills Mill Ready, who sponsored the replays. The starting lineup has Cale Bixler on the pole in the 789. Next to him, the General, Andy Patton, in the 87. Row number 2, Devo, Donovan Ross, the 5, and 100 grand, Joseph Grandy, in the 518. Row 3, Dylan Berg in car number 14, and Brian Moore Sr. in the 558. And the final row for tonight, Joe Musso in the 00, and the Mayor, Steve Bixler, in the 75. The reason why we had to wait, by the way, to figure out who the champion was, Sim Racer Hub was taking its sweet time. It wanted to drink its coffee very slowly, or wanted to be like a fine wine getting better with age or something. I don't know, but you figure it out. Heat 1 set to go. This is the insider heat. As the winner is on pole position, green flag is out for the first one. Bixler sideways in the center of 1 and 2. Andy Patton comes away with the opening lead. Joseph Grandy through the second spot. Battle for third. Brian Moore Sr. headed dart ways. Contact with Bixler. Hard to the wall. And upside down goes Sr. You could just see that coming. Bixler, meanwhile, went around. At least it wasn't Junior. That would have made things a lot interesting. Battle for the lead. Joseph Grandy underneath on Andy Patton. The General fighting back in the 87. And Patton hangs on for now. Inferno Motorsports 1, 2, 3. Dylan Berg in the 3rd spot. Grandy with a slider of his own. And here comes the 3rd Inferno car. Dylan Berg closing in on things. He's got a great perspective. Pat with a slide job up to the wall. Grandy clears and has the lead. Berg with a mega slider. Oh man, nearly popped the wall with the right rear. Would have definitely destroyed things with that number 14 for sure. 3 laps to go in heat race number 1. Quickest car on track. Donovan Ross, the Sim Racing Concepts, number 5, 13:28. Luckily, again, everybody makes it into the show. No matter what spot you finish in. Let's go to the race for second. Berg underneath. Slide job on in the wall. No, that was neck code easily. Dylan Berg on his side. Loses the top wing. Regains it. That was nobody's fault except iRacing's. And Berg is the one that pays the price. That was clearly a netcode deal. But here comes through 3 and 4, Joseph Grandy in the Inferno Motorsports 518. 100 grand puts her on pole tonight. Patton 2nd, Ross 3rd, Joe Musso 4th, Bixler 5th, Berg 6th, Bixler 7th, and Moore Sr. 8th. Time for heat race number 2, brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. Here's the starting lineup. Dan McLaren on pole position in the 88. Next to him, it's Brian Moore Jr. in the 09. In row number 2, Moore Jr.'s championship nemesis, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83, and Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 3, pair of Canadians, Roger Craig in the 747 and the Goose Jack Cote in the 11. The final row for tonight, Greg Parmalee in the 4, and the captain, Gary Taylor, in the 34. So this is 4-on-4 pretty much. America versus Canada. As we get set to go for action. Let us know who you're rooting for in the chat tonight. We'll give you a shout out live and on the air. So here we go for our final heat race of the night. The outside heat race is green at Charlotte. Great start for Brandon Dittmer. Dan McLaren had to go to the back of the field here, and here we go. Your top 2 side by side. Lap 1 led by Moore Jr. Good slider from the 09. Dittmer able to counter back. Slide job city between your 2 in the championship. Here comes Moore Jr. in the 09. Puts her in deep. And nearly caught the wall. Dittmer downstairs once more. Moore Jr. kissed it. On board with that 09 car. Moore Jr. wants to send it once again for the lead. They're still wing to wing off the corner. Dittmer able to clear. Remember, if these two are, one finishes out in front of the other, whoever's in front will start by 2 positions. Zach Chapman wants to spoil things up. Would love to see would love to help out his fellow booth boy, that's for sure. For second on Moore Jr. The 09 tried to slam the door right in his face. Didn't work though. 2 laps to go. Moore Jr. trying once again. Here comes Chapman around the outside. 1 to go. Moore Jr. shuts the door. Shaggy able to counter it back wing to wing. A slider would be big for Chapman. Sends it underneath. Moore Jr. keeps her up top. Tries to counter it back. Chapman finishes second over Moore Jr. Dittmer wins. Cote 4th. Craig in 5th. Parmalee 6th. McLaren 7th. Taylor 8th. We'll step aside for warm-ups. When we come back, feature time on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as the warm-ups continue. Joseph Grandy currently the quickest driver on track at a 13.598. Dan McLaren second at a 13.65. David Ross third, 13.69. Fourth, Brian Moore Sr., 13.74. Brandon Dittmer, Zach Chapman, each fifth and sixth with a 13.76. As the warm-ups here wrap up, drivers making their way around the dirt track at Charlotte. So here we go for feature time at Charlotte. Let's meet the field and give you the RSN trackside starting lineup. On the pole, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Next, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Row 2, the General, Andy Patton in the 87. And Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 3, Devo, Donovan Ross, the 5. And Brian Moore Jr. in car number 9. Row 4, Joe Musso in the 00. And the Goose, Chad Cote in the 11. Rounding out the top 10 tonight, the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. And the Bassman, Roger Craig in the 747. Row number 6, Dylan Berg in the 14, and Greg Parmalee in the 4. Row 7, Cale Bixler in the 789, and Dan McLaren in the 88. And the final row 4 tonight, Brian Moore Sr. in the 558, and the captain, Gary Taylor, in the 34. So your championship contenders, Brandon Dittmer starting second, Brian Moore Jr. from 6th on the grid. One final look at the points before we go green. With one drop, it's Moore Jr. by 34. Their worst finish is in parentheses. Each driver's missed one race on the season. Moore's worst finish is 7th. Dittmer's is 19th. With 2 drops in effect, it would be Moore Jr. by 4. Coming to green flag this time by. .30 laps around Charlotte. Top 5 transfer to the Renegades pending on IL. 2 drivers going for the championship. It's time to shake and bake for the second time tonight at Charlotte. 100 grand. The Spider Monkey set to bring us to green. It's time to get it on. Flatline Racing Bodies green flag is out for 30 laps around Charlotte, and Joseph Grandy leads the opening circuit. Dittmer and Ross battling it out for the second position. Tight racing here for 5th. Moore Jr. and Andy Patton nearly got together. As they're wing to wing for the spot there, Patton slides up in front of the 09. Not the start Brian Moore Jr. really wanted. But he's the first driver amongst your 2 drivers of the championship to gain a spot. May even get up 2 here on Donovan Ross, the battle for 4th. Side by side off the corner, and Moore Jr. takes the 4th spot away. Chapman trying to grab 2nd away from Brandon Dittmer. Won't be able to make that work just yet. A lot of drivers there putting in their best lap of the race last time by. It was Brandon Dittmer that was the quickest at 13.89. Dylan Berg up 3 after being involved in the netcode incident. Battling Joe Musso takes away the 8th spot. Dan McLaren involved in a wreck earlier with Gary Taylor. Up 4 to 10th, and same with Brian Moore Sr. Patton fading a little bit early. Let's go back to Moore Jr. as he got a little bit loose off the corner. Devo fighting back underneath. Zach Chapman loses the top wing in the 72. He caught the wall. but he's got the magic in him. As you've got 3 cars under a blanket battling for 4th. Chapman up on the wall once again. Meanwhile, Grandy, your leader by about 9/10 of a second. Chad Cote wants to be a part of this battle as well. Kale Bixler pulls her off track. We stay green. On board with the Goose. He's found his way past 1. Now looks to get past 2 with Brian Moore Jr. Would be a big loss of points. Has to send it. Can he clear? He cannot. They're still side by side. And now Moore Jr. tries the slider on Zach Chapman. Cote has to check up because of it. Great racing here at Charlotte for the bottom step of the podium and for the final spots in the Renegades. Devo looking really good downstairs. He's found his way past the 09 and just edged him out barely. 11 laps complete. It's still Joseph Grandy, your race leader. Let's pull up the 5-lap average. You can see he and Brandon Dittmer are each the best cars on track. Let's go back to 3rd. Oh, Brian Moore in the wall off of Cote. We got a bumper from Dan McLaren. There was a little bit of a stack up there. Moore Jr. with a slider on Chad Cote. He knows he can't waste any time. It's time to go. He's just in a slide job battle with Cote, Ross, and Chapman. And he's up in the wall there. Now remember, oh boy, almost caught the Uke tire. Remember there, if you get 2x, you lose 2 points towards your towards your total points. Maybe some more contact there with Cote. Oh no, Cote involved in a caution. I was going to say, if you had 0x, you get extra 3 points. But that may have just made things interesting there towards the championship. Let's look how sideways the two were getting, racing each other very hard. That was something Moore had to avoid. Let's look at Dan McLaren as well, does a wheelie and finds a way to keep it straight. And that is one the Goose will have to use a quick repair for. So we're set to go green after our first caution, which took place just around the halfway mark. Grandy, your race leader, Dittmer in second, Brian Moore Jr. sixth, but how much did he get when it came to incident points?
Green, green, green.
He had to have been up there with 2, but we'll just have to wait and see, as there was contact, but there's 4 wide for second. Don't know if Dittmer wants to be in this, though. Looking to hang on to that spot. Zach Chapman on the attack. Contact. Oh, look out. Was that junior or was that senior? That was senior upside down. No caution. We stay green. Senior pulls her off. Heavy damage to Donovan Ross. He's trying to limp her in the second half of this race. Brian Moore Jr. still in third. Zach Chapman may lose a spot for Dan McLaren, who started in the 14th position, and it's made its way up to 11th. Second yellow flag waves, and I believe it's for the spun Donovan Ross. Lot of stuff to unpack after that second yellow. The Moores were side by side. They just stacked up on the bottom. Now, I don't know if Donovan Ross had a uke tire or something. Man, Senior got clobbered a couple times. I'd have to watch another angle of that with Devo. Oh, he got hit from Dylan Berg and countered it to try and avoid hitting the uke tire. And went around, had some left side damage from it. Now, this is the onboard. This is what caused the error. You see how the left front's bent in? He got hit from behind, actually. It may have been Gary Taylor, but I don't know. But he knew the car was undrivable. Put her on pit road, use that quick repair, and then get back into action. Gonna watch this restart. The Chapman Racing drone. Grandy and Dittmer, row 1. McLaren and Zach Chapman, row 2. Brian Moore Jr. rounds out the top 5. Dittmer second, Moore Jr. 5th. That's the battle for the championship. We're back to the green flag now with 11 to go. Dittmer caught sleeping a little bit, allows Zach Chapman to get underneath. Look at the run for Dan McLaren and for Brian Moore Jr. We were nearly 3 wide. The 09 knows it's time to go to work. He needs to be in front of the 83 if he wants a chance at it. 10 laps to go. Boy, McLaren and Dittmer nearly got into each other there. 9 remaining. I think it was Dittmer for second there at the line. Slides up, gives the 83 room. Near contact, oh, look out! Oh my goodness, Moore Jr. Hard in the wall, that may end his championship run. McLaren also involved. Heavy impact, though, by the 09. Wow, we have a lot to unpack out of that incident, but Brian Moore Jr., championship contender, the same spot where Isaac's championship run came to an end in the Open 358. This did not bring the caution flag out, but Gary Taylor spun in front of Chad Cote, which sent the 11 around. And then here is what happened. McLaren, oh, I think Moore was trying to block and McLaren was already there. And there was the rear end. And Moore Jr. pays the worst price for it. Right on board with McLaren. That's the second time he's done a wheelie tonight. This time he's on 2 wheels. Now, I don't know how much damage he has. But this is where the championship comes to an end. Ah. I felt that. Moore Jr. looking for his first championship in the Rebels. Brandon Dittmer won a couple years ago in Rebels. Would love to get his second Rebels title. I believe it would be his second. Single file rest of the way.
Green flag, green flag.
8 to go restart. Brandon Dittmer just has to keep his nose clean, and the championship is his. Brian Moore Jr., tail end of the lead lap. How about Dylan Berg, folks? Started near the back of the pack. He's up 8 spots into 3rd. And I believe he's only been on the podium once this season. We'll have to double check on all that. Meanwhile, 6 laps to go for Joseph Grandy, who's dominating this race. Grandy looking for win 2 on the year. Dylan Berg actually looking for his second win on the season if he can get a chance at it. He has 2 podiums on the year, The win came at Lincoln, the other podium at Port Royal. Dittmer's still looking for win 1 on the season. He's had a couple of seconds and thirds. 4 to go, meanwhile, for 100 grand. Joseph Grandy lead at 1.2 seconds. Brian Moore Jr. not able to gain anything. He's in the pits. Heads home for a championship. Likely over. You know, it was funny. Dittmer, when he won at Fallujah, we thought he didn't have the championship won. But then after the race, the points were actually tied. And due to how the cleaner driver he was, Dittmer actually took it home. Stunned myself, Isaac, and Dean when Dittmer was able to take it home. He gets to see the white flag this time, 1 lap to go. Well, this has been a race of all Joseph Grandy tonight. Has dominated this one. Started from pole. He had the quick time earlier tonight. Joseph Grandy's going to win the race, but in the end, it's Brandon Dittmer that takes the war. Unofficially, Brandon Dittmer, your champion in the Rebels. Berg second. Chapman fourth. Devo in fifth. Berg up 9 spots to take the hard charger. We will wait. To see how the points shake up, but I believe Brandon Dittmer is going to become a 2-time Rebels champ. Again, Sim Racer Hub likes to take their time as we pull up your top 10 results here. Again, Berg, your biggest mover. Steve Bixler made some moves. He finished 6th, 1 spot shy of making the top 5 and transferring into Renegades. Everyone outside the top 10 out of this one. Actually, not out of this one. So you look at the rest of the field here. So good night of action here tonight. We're going to hold on Brandon Dittmer. We're going to bring the second place driver in first, and Dylan Berg. Dylan, a great run, your 3rd podium of the season. Take me through how your race car was tonight.
Yeah, man, I felt pretty good. I kind of figured that bottom out in 1 and 2 kind of later than I should have. I think I would have had a little more for Joe there at the end, but he had that thing ripping, so it would have been kind of hard to catch him at the end there, but felt really good on the bottom in 1 and 2, and I just couldn't figure out anything in 3 and 4.
It seemed like, and this is just from my perspective, you have a better perspective than I do. It seemed like, though, if it wasn't for the netcode incident that we saw in the heat race, I think we could have likely seen a much closer battle between you and Grandy, especially early on in the race.
Yeah, that probably would have helped. Would have helped, definitely. Track position definitely would have helped. But I don't know. The car felt good. Just found that bottom a little late, I think, and needed a little more in 3 and 4. But other than that, car felt great.
Good way to end the season, at least. Who do you want to give the shout-outs to?
I want to thank Inferno Motorsports, Speed Factory, Justin Stoles, all the guys on my team help each other out a ton. A&J Creations, JRB Designs, and Vapor Trail.
Alrighty, man. Well, great job tonight. Good way to end the season. Best of luck in Renegades if you decide to move up.
Thanks, man.
So Dylan Berg, your second place finisher this evening. As we go to Victory Lane to talk with 100 grand. Second win of the season, Joseph Grandy. You just looked flawless out there tonight, man.
Yeah, Charlotte's probably my favorite track on the sim with all the vehicles. You know, just had to hit my marks. That cushion got a little treacherous there the last 10 laps or so. So just tried to keep it smooth as I could, and that was about it.
What was working out better for you compared to anybody else?
Throttle control, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Just trying not to spin my tires, and towards the end, I was maybe quarter throttle going through the turns. So
Well, not bad of a way to end the season, that's for sure. And Rebels, who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Pilot Recovery, West End Towing and Repair, all the guys over at Inferno, Highline Photography, girlfriend Olivia, all the guys at Coast to Coast, and appreciate you for the broadcast, Marty.
Alrighty, man. Great job tonight. And if we're seeing Renegades, best of luck and great season for you.
Thanks.
Joseph Grandy taking the win. Now we talk with the man that finished third this evening. If I can get my mouse to work, this would be a perfect time to have Zach and as co-commentator. Brandon Dittmer, we do not have the points in yet. We do know that you finished in third. I believe you will be the champion at the end based off where Moore Jr. finished. If that's the case, how does it feel?
Relief. First time in 2 years I finally get back to the Sprint Car Championship and a 0-win season. This car kind of felt like kind of crap all night. It felt really loose. I tightened it up there before we went to feature time, and I needed to go a couple clicks on the wheel spacing, I guess. But no, he tried to throw a slider on me. I got around him, and then him and Dan must have got together, which really sucked. I feel really bad for Junior. He put on such a heck of a season, and just to have it end like that, that's heartbreak.
Yeah, definitely would have been awesome to see you two battle it out for the championship at the end, because he was off to a tough start in the race. You were hanging on to a top 3 spot throughout the contest, and it seemed like his car was starting to improve as things were going on, but at the same time, he was in some hard racing earlier on, and he may have had some 2X earlier, which obviously, as you know, would be a loss of points.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid was the X's. I'm like, I knew if I get a 2X, this thing is all but off or written off for me. So I just had to try and keep it clean and keep it straight. Almost gave her up there a couple times, but luckily able to reel her back in.
Yeah, it was a great race as a whole here at Charlotte. Let's talk about your car, though. What was working well for you out there tonight?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's hard to believe that since I got a third place finish against some of these guys, but no, this thing was extremely loose and hard to hold on to. But no, these guys week after week put on some great competition and some great racing in and out, week in, week out. You know.
Well, hey, we still don't have the points yet, by the way, but from the looks of it, it won't be as close as it was 2 years ago when you won, and we were stunned when you won that in the first year after you took that win at Fallujah. But now this one looks to be a lot bigger and a great run nevertheless. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Well, of course, you for the broadcast, Roger for Coast to Coast, Training Wheels Racing, all those guys over there. The Venom guys for letting me hang out with them. Dean and the World of Outlaws Super Dirt Car Series for the sponsorship, Bowman Designs for the amazing wrap. All the sponsors making this series happen. And, of course, everybody racing that makes it such a fun time.
All right. Still checking everything here. Right now it says, yep, I think this is correct now. Right now it says you win the championship by 12. We'll wait for Spangler to make that official, though. But, hey, congratulations on a great season.
Thank you very much.
Brandon Dittmer gets it done. I wanted to wait on that because, we're talking to him at the same time. We're waiting for points. Our first update we had, it said for just a moment Brian Moore Jr. was the champion. Patrick's been manually putting these in tonight as things go, and a shout out to him as Sim Racer Hub's been pretty slow like a how do I put this? How do I put this without putting any offense on anyone? I don't know. Never mind. We'll just go to break. Stay with us. Renegades coming up next at the Coast to Coast Racing Network. guys, it's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Gets on the champion, trying to be a
Bit of a hiatus, so let's get.
Right when we were talking about it.
Outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in an on-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
One more race left to go here tonight, and it's the Renegades here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome back, everyone. Marty Sakala with you on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. As we get set to go with the Renegades, let's talk the point standings coming on in. Could be a little bit more confusing, but we'll explain everything right now. So what you see on the website, Chad Griggs with a 5-point lead on Patrick Spengler. Here is the catch, though. Chad Griggs has done 2 more races than Patrick Spengler. So Griggs has an ability for 2 drops of 12th and 20th. This is Spengler's final race of the night, obviously. Final race of the season, obviously. It will be his 11th race, as you get 2 drops in coast to coast. If you get 12, you only get 1 drop. So you can have a maximum of 11 points races. Your 11 best finishes will count towards the season. If you put both drops into effect, Spengler is up 37 points coming on in. So that's a little something you need to keep in mind going on in. Spengler has a clear advantage in the championship. Well, let's give you the schedule for what is coming up here the rest of the week. As tomorrow night is Retread Tuesday, brought to you by Maurer Farm Management. With 358s at Eldora, DW12s at Charlotte. Zach Shaggy Chapman will have the call at 7 p.m. on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Wednesday night, the Hometown Heroes, brought to you by Gambler Motorsports, with 360s and 410s at Knoxville on Shaggy TV at 7:45. Thursday night, I bring you Thursday Night Thunder with small block and big block championships at 7 o'clock. Port Royal Speedway, the destination on Sly Job Racing Network. Next week, couple new things in store here for week 14, I guess you could say. Of course, with the release of Houston Speedway coming out a week from tomorrow, we will be having a lot of fun playing around with that. I'll be having fun with that on here. And then I believe it's going to come out on the same night on World of Outlaws Dirt Racing. I'm not sure. I'll have to check the social media feeds on that. But I'll definitely be playing on that without question on both ends. So practice currently continuing, and this is the man that's quickest. Stephen Gollner in the number 30. Actually, he takes the checkered flag at the top of the charts at a 12:70. 15 Renegade drivers here with us this evening, so we'll have 2 heats set to go for you. And we are ready with qualifying. First driver on the track will be the 27 of Chad Griggs. And we've got the points here of the lap times come in as they shoot their way up the charts. Going up next to the cushion, but you cannot hit that wall one bit. If you do, your lap time will be invalidated. So Stephen Gollner to set the bar on lap number 1 at a 13 even. 12:998 to be specific. Joseph Grandy 13:015. Stephen Gollner second 13:01. Jack hit fourth 13:09. Jack Clevenger up to fourth on lap 2 13:06. Here comes Stephen Gollner across the line. Is his second lap better? No, 13:20. Joseph Grandy calls it on lap number 2. Clevenger 13:29 on lap number 2. Lap 1 for Blake Chapman third 13:02 for the salesman in the number 20. In the green in sector 2, is it good enough? No, it's not. 13:13 on lap number 2. Kyle Moonen, I believe this is lap number 1, 13:18 for the Money King on lap number 1. Coming to the stripe, much better lap for him, 13:09 up to 8th. Tyler Wilson, the checkered flag, 13:31 on lap 1, lap 2, 13:19 to 12th. So that'll do it for qualifying. Jack Kidd and Kyle Moonen will have the pole position for each of the 2 heats because of the top 4 invert. But it's Chad Griggs the quickest, the 12:95 in qualifying. Patrick Spangler goes 13th. And he does not want to have a bad race, that's for sure. So we're set to go with heat race number 1. Brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. As gentleman, Jack Hitt has the pole in the 217. Next to him, Jack Clevenger in car number 78. Row number 2, the salesman, Blake Chapman in the 20. And Chad Griggs in the 27. Row 3, Brad Waite in the 814. Next to him, Donovan Ross Devo in the 5. Final row this evening, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39. And the Desert Demon, Terry Landis in the 161. So we are just about set. And as always, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. Bill Calder is always rooting for the Salty Dogs tonight. Winner starts on pole. This is the inside heat for tonight.
Green, green, green.
Green flag waves underway. Side by side for the lead, Jack Hitt and Jack Clevenger. Lap one at the line, led by the driver of the 78. Everyone transfers in no matter what. Here comes Griggs for the race lead. Remember, was the quickest in qualifying. Clevenger shuts the door with a slider. Nice defense from him. Donovan Ross looking pretty quick at a 13.24. Griggs sends it. Clevenger tried everything to cover. They stay wing to wing, and the 78 holds on. Griggs, though, with a nice slider from hell. Could be 3 wide. Watch out for Devo. He thought for just a moment about taking a 2 for 1, but decides not to. Clevenger still hanging on, but look out for the salesman. Blake Chapman up to 3rd. Spangler hanging on in 5th. Chad Griggs now to the race lead. Clevenger up the hill he goes. He may have hit a little rut or something. I don't know. 3 to go. Here comes Griggs once again. Slider from the 27. Look how stacked up they are. 5 cars under a blanket there for a moment. As Ross clips the wall, Chapman in 3rd. Spangler still stuck in 5th. Tried to go downstairs. Here comes Griggs. Winner is on pole, and this determines the inside row tonight. On the final lap, Griggs led that line. Who leads in the checkers, though? That's more important. Griggs, though, keeps the bottom. Clevenger up on the top shelf. Blake Chapman with a chance. Clevenger shuts the door. Griggs decides not to send it, and Jack Clevenger takes the win in Heat 1. Griggs 2nd, Chapman 3rd, Ross 4th, Hitt 5th, Spangler 6th, Landis 7th, Waite in 8th. So Griggs comes from 3rd, Spangler 11th tonight. Now we go to Heat 2, brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. Yeah, the starting lineup looks like this. As Kyle Moon and the Money King on the pole position, the 24. Next to him, Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 2, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518, and Stephen Gollner in car 30. Jesse Bandy, the Bandyboat Master, inside of row 3, next to the Macho Man Tyler Wilson, the 42. And rounding out the grid tonight, Barry Gollner in the 36. Heat 2 brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. As we get set to go here with things. Five cars in this heat. Tyler Wilson and Joseph Grin do not make the call to grid. And we're underway with Heat 2. Good start for Kyle Moonen. Bandy up to 2nd. Chapman down in 3rd. Stephen and Barry Gollner round out your top 5. Lap number 1 led by the Money King. Stephen looking low. Bandy also downstairs. What a send from both the Bandybuilt drivers on the 72. But Chapman hangs on to 3rd the line. That was a very quick lap for Gollner, by the way, to 13.28. And Bandybuilt is kicking butt. Moonen leading. Bandy 2nd. Stephen Gollner in 3rd. Could they be possible threats to win here tonight? It's been so long since I believe we've talked about them in victory lane. That'd be so cool, especially for Kyle Moonen to park it in the infield. Bandy exploring his options underneath. On board the 49. Trying to close in a lot there on the 24. Unable to do so there. With a white flag. Ooh, one up to the wall. That's Barry in the 36. That right front Stanley, he doesn't know the steering's messed up. And now he knows. Put that baby in park. Final lap underway. Coming to the checkered flag here. With Kyle Moon and the Money King in the 24 on the front row this evening. A much needed heat win for Kyle. Bandy second. Stephen Goldner third. Zach Chapman fourth. Barry Goldner fifth. Let's step aside and go to break. When we come back, it is feature time on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Final moments of warm-ups underway at the moment. Jesse Bandy the quickest at 13:53, followed by Jack Hitt 13:54, and same with Chad Griggs in third. Zach Chapman fourth, 13:56. 13:55 rather. Blake Chapman and Kyle Moon each fifth and sixth at 13:56. Look at the final moments here before we get going with our feature. So we're ready to go for our main event of the night. Let's meet the field and give you the RSN trackside starting lineup. On the pole, Jack Clevenger in the 78, and next to him, the Money King, Kyle Moonen in the 24. Row 2, Chad Griggs in the 27, and the Bandy Boat Master, Jesse Bandy, in the 49. Row 3, the salesman, Blake Chapman in the 20, and Stephen Goldner in the 30. Row 4, Devo, Donovan Ross, the 5, and Shaggy Zach Chapman in car 72. Rounding out the top 10, Gentleman Jack Kidd, he's in the 217, and Barry Goldner in the 36. Row 6, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39, and Joseph Grandy in the 518. Row 7, the Desert Demon, Terry Landis in the 161, and the Macho Man, Tyler Wilson in the 42. And the final car on the grid tonight is Brad Waite in the 814. So as the field rolls off here tonight, a reminder, a look at the points. Patrick Spangler with the advantage by 37 with both drops in effect. Griggs needs to beat a 12th place finish in order for it to count, for the points to go towards his final. Griggs starts 3rd this evening. Spangler starts 11th. So for right now, a good start for the 27, but obviously car count is a factor here tonight. We will have to see where things go. Just about a half a lap away from the Flatline Racing Bodies green flag. Well, for the final time tonight, it's time to shake and bake. Wing it and bring it. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now, from coast to coast? It's showtime in Charlotte. "35 laps around the dirt track as Jack Clevenger has the lead. 3 wide for second at the 78 leads lap 1. Griggs now trying to chase after the 78, but a lot of company from both Moonen and Blake Chapman. As they are side by side, look out, contact mid-pack as Stephen Goldner got into his teammate, his car owner, in fact, Jesse Banning, the 49, who's able to catch it. Wing to wing for the 3rd spot still between Moonen and Chapman. Kyle up on the cushion, edges out Blake in the line by about 200ths. Get up the wall, and you're starting to see that track nearly become motocross bumps. Meanwhile, Chad Griggs all over that 78. We've got a rematch here at Charlotte. Side by side for the race lead. Slide job, Griggs, he's got it. Clevenger trying to counter it back, but the 27 shuts the door. Griggs has improved so much throughout the season. 3 wins on the year. Including 2 out of the last 3. He's just looked absolutely perfect at the right time. Here's the battle for 3rd. Blake Chapman underneath on Kyle Moonen. Not able to work out. Griggs up in front. A great start for him, but you notice Patrick Spangler cannot crack the top 10. He started 11th. He is still 11th. Trying to catch up to Donovan Ross and Terry Landis, but this car is not coming to life. Now let's watch this race on track for the 8th spot. But right now, a very good start going Chad Griggs' way. Can he make up 37 points? The gap with the drops coming on in. Right now with Spangler up to 10th, he'd pick up 21. So Spangler unofficially would have it by 16. Moonen slides up past Clevenger, up to 2nd, contact, and Moonen's in the wall. Tries to counter back on Clevenger. More contact, you gotta be kidding me. Upside down goes the 24, and Moonen pays the price. Donovan Ross nowhere to go. That was some good racing gone wrong. Clevenger puts the 24 in the wall while trying to make the pass. Moonen tries to counter it back. I don't know. Let's run on board with the 24 Moonen. You'll get a good idea with the wheel here. I wonder if the steering was already knocked out on the 24 and then got up in the 78. You know, when you first see that, you're thinking that's possibly on purpose. And this Jack Clevenger had issues too after the yellow came out. Now, what happened with the man that was in second? Already up at the wall, but you see the right front flapping. He's trying to everything to cut down. And right there just hits a bullseye with the Tory tire. Well, this is kind of what you want if you're Spangler. Move up another spot into 9th. Here we come back to the green flag. 13 laps complete.
Green flag, green flag.
The 5-lap average will show you who are the best race cars out on the track. You can clearly see it's Chad Griggs. Let's keep an eye out on Patrick Spangler. See if this restart can help him make some moves up. Blake trying everything underneath for the race lead. He is always playing with fire downstairs here at Charlotte. Sometimes he'll hit the Uke tire. He has no damage. If he hits it a second time, he may be done. But he is side by side with Griggs. That ends, though, as a yellow waves for Donovan Ross in the 5. And that car is junk. Got up into Moonen. Let's see here. Yeah, just drifted up into him. A little bit like what we saw with the Moonen accident. This time, it was on a straightaway. Double file restart coming up here. We're going to watch this restart from our aerial shot.
Green flag, green flag.
Back to the green flag here on lap 17. Oh my, we were nearly 4 wide for third. Steven Goldner, the first through that. Zach Chapman tries the slide job. Not of there. Watch up front. Chapman's trying everything to get up to Griggs for that race lead. How about Terry Landis in that 161, folks? Up 7 spots. Make it 6. He's up to 7th. Nice run going for the Desert Demons so far. The high side banger trying to cook up top 3 wide. Nearly got squeezed in the wall by him and by Landis and Moonen. In the wall once more. Got to be careful with that. Slide job from Moonen. Got to back out of that. Clevenger back underneath. Now keep your eye on the 24 and the 78. Contact between Moonen and Chapman. And Spengler's trying to take advantage of it. Change for second, possibly. Here comes Goldner around the outside. On board Bandy in the 49. Both grooves working for each driver very well with the setups they have. Through 22. 5-lap average, they're 3 wide. Griggs pulling away from all of this. How about Jack Hitt trying to throw the new 4 wide for the spot? What a battle for second this is. Oh, hang on, Jack. Over the cushion, biked it in the wall. Right in front of Moonen, no contact. 217's toast, and Moonen did not see that coming. Yellow flag is out. Landis, Spangler also involved, so he loses some points there. Yeah, Kyle's going to be not happy at that, but when he looks at the replay, Jack's steering was completely gone. There goes a sneaker rolling, 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 rolling. I should stop singing or else we get copyrighted. Yeah, Moonen's steering is just could not turn one bit. That's a tough break for Moonen. You saw Spangler with front wing damage. You see on the right side plate. A little bit covering in there. Boom. Just didn't see that one coming. Now watch Patrick Spangler here, who will lose points. In the wall first. That's 2. That should be 2x. And then another 2x with Landis, I believe. But Spangler in the 5th position. Right now, he's good. He's got this championship won. I think it would be about maybe 15 points that Griggs has on him. Single file the rest of the way. 10 laps to go. Here we go, back to green. Good jump from Griggs as he holds serve. Chapman hanging on. Wants to get a podium spot back on Jesse Bandy. Saw there Zach Blake nearly took out a Uke tire. Here come both Spangler and Terry Landis. Up the hill goes TL Buds. Back at it for P3. 7 to go for Griggs. Gap at 0.7 of a second over Steven Goldner. Great bite on corner exit for the number 20. He is always good this late in the game at Charlotte. Remember the new tire model? Blake got the win with the low line the final laps just by saving tires. But time is running out of the hourglass. 5 laps to go in the season for Chad Griggs. Best car on the track all day long. Would be his 4th win of the year. He and Spangler have combined for 9 wins in the 13-race season. That says a lot that these two will likely be threats once again next season. And Griggs, I think you have to watch out for him as a true championship contender. He was a rookie 2 seasons ago in Renegades. Second season that's greatly improved. Could the third time be a charm next year for Griggs? We'll have to see. That battle for third still continues. Who gets to talk with us first after this race? We'll have to find out. Is it Chapman or Bandy? We'll have to find out. White flag waves, final lap of the season. It has been a dominant effort for Chad Griggs of the Scott Thomason Racing number 27. Off of turn 4, checkers wave. Griggs takes the win. Battle for third. Bandy over Blake Chapman by about a 10th of a second or a 100th of a second. Patrick Spangler, meanwhile, finishes third. That should be good enough where he wins another Renegades championship. Griggs taking one more victory lap to enjoy the ending of this one. Now remember, last time he won was at Knoxville, and guess what? He flipped the race car. This, I think he will not do. I think he'll do the burnout after the top 3. As you see how they all wind up in the end. Great run from Barry Goldner finishing 7th. Spangler, a hard charger, from 11th to 5th. I think we may have jinxed Terry Landis. He finished 10th in the end. You see the drivers that go from 11 through 13 tonight. Been a fun season of Monday Night Madness once again. We're looking forward to doing things about 2 weeks' time. What is it? It is December 16th. We kick off the season, and I believe that is at USA International Speedway to kick off the 2025 winter's schedule, and that is December 16th, 7 o'clock. You don't want to miss out on that. And speaking of the holidays coming up, we got some cool stuff coming up around the corner. I believe Christmas week, well, we'll have before Christmas Eve the Chili Bowl, and then stay tuned for what's coming up on New Year's. When we look at the winter calendar, you all know what I like to do, the New Year's Eve special where I put some money up. Like I said, stay tuned for that. So we got everybody. Let's begin with Jesse Bandy, our third place finisher. Jesse, how much fun was that battle with Blake at the end?
Oh, it was a blast. It was a good run. It was just knew I had to keep my momentum. I lost it a few different times there, about 3-4 to go. And I knew if I didn't collect it back up and hit my marks just right, I wasn't going to come in third. I was going to take fourth. And so either way, it would have been good. Blake's a hell of a driver, so just to be competing with him is something to be happy about and content with.
What was the key to beating him out tonight?
Oh, it was just that momentum line. He was quick on the bottom. He was making it work on the bottom. There was a little bit of grip down there early on, and he made it work. And I think just that momentum line is all that it was. It wasn't anything other than that.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Well, everybody over at Phantom, Ross at Velocity Race Designs, Bio.com, Dirt Doctor Trucking, you guys for the broadcast, and C2C for the league.
Alrighty, man. Well, great job tonight, and hope you have a good 1 week break, and we will hopefully talk to you in the beginning of the winter year.
Sounds good. Take care.
Jesse Bandy, our third place finisher tonight in Velocity Race Design, number 49. But definitely great to see this guy finish in second spot, Steven Goldner. You know, he's a veteran of the game, a very fast driver. Steven, it has been so long since we've talked to you. Where the heck have you been?
I've been riding the struggle bus for the last, probably pretty much a year. So we kind of unveiled a new team here, and I've been trying to put together a couple setups here that would make us quick. And last week I thought we were on to something and kind of faded there at the end. This week, I think the track definitely helped us. I think we still got a little bit of work to do for the feature, but we definitely have a bunch of speed, and I'm pretty happy to be sitting up here talking to you, Marty, because it's been what feels like a whole year. It's been a lot of struggles.
So this is a new team. I did not realize that. So apologies for what I said earlier. I thought it was still the Bandy Bill crew, but take me through though how this car was tonight. Really good heat run by the entire SGR team. Started 6th, made your way up 4 tonight.
Yeah, I put together a pretty decent set. I've been running for the last little bit here. Even when we were with Bandy there, I'm trying to just get something comfortable early, and we were really good in the heat race. Moonin was also really good in the heat race. My dad was pretty good in practice. Just needs to get his slick track stuff figured out a little bit better. We probably should help him a little bit more on that. But we all had hot rods tonight, and Moonin had a little bit of trouble in the feature. I think he definitely had a car to contend with Chad there. I don't think I did. I was kind of a second place car with Moonin kind of being taken out, whatever happened there. I was a second or third place car, but we'll take that after a long year of trying.
Last time we saw you on the podium, by the way, in Renegades was August 19th. You were second at Cedar Lake. So, but this has to be a big boost to morale going into next season. I don't know what the changes there will be with dirt specifically. Obviously, we know Huset's is going to be coming onto the schedule for next season, but should be a big boost to morale. Looking to get that first win since going back to March.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely try to hit the ground running with next season. I'm probably gonna run a limited schedule again with work, but we should be able to show up a little bit more than we have been, and hopefully contend with wins, because it's a lot of fun, running up towards the front, and a lot of fun talking to you, Marty.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
Moon Racing Engines, Moon Talco, Apex, CNC, RK Automotive, Stephen Golden Racing, Moonin and Lacey and my dad for jumping on board with this team and having some fun. Dylan Westbrook Racing for the title sponsor for Renegades, you for the broadcast, and Roger and everyone with Coast to Coast Racing Leagues.
Alrighty, well, great job tonight, Stephen. Best of luck in the winter year when we talk next.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be talking to you in a couple weeks.
So Stephen Goldner finishes second. Now let's talk to your race winner. In the number 27, Chad Griggs gets his 4th win of the year. What a way to end the season here, man. I believe, what is that, 3 wins the last 4 races? Not too bad of a way to end the year.
Yeah, well, when you put yourself in a hole at the beginning of the year, that's about all you can do to try to get it back. But just set out I had to do what I had to do to see if the points would work out. I knew that there wasn't much of a chance of it happening, but I still tried to put my best foot forward and do what I could on my end.
From your perspective, how good was this race car?
I was good all night. I really didn't know where to be in 3 and 4, really. I knew you're always going to be up top, or at least I am, in 1 and 2 here. And I was really kind of just miffed about where I needed to be in 3 and 4, but I kind of figured out late that I just needed to get it up top in 3 and 4 as well. But it was good up there. Car was pretty good. At the end of the race, I kind of started trying to cheat the entry into 3 just to play it safe, so I didn't ball the car up in the cushion or something. But it worked out.
How do you feel going into next season? Because, I mean, in these 2 seasons with Renegades, man, you have completely improved. I think we could be talking about maybe next season for you a big championship run, possibly.
Well, we'll see. Like I said before the season even started, after last season, my goal would be to finish in the top 3, and where things pan out there, I guess I need to work on minimizing the damage on tracks that I'm not really good at, because I'm going to need those points in the long run and at the end of the season. So I've got a few tracks that I'm not the greatest at. I just need to work on getting better at those tracks and figure out how to put a good night together at those places.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
Thanks to Roger and everybody behind the scenes that put on the league. Thanks to you and everybody that helps out with the broadcast. And thanks to my team, Scott Thomason Racing, all the guys over there. Thanks to Jesse Bandy for all the help and time and effort that we all put in together, practicing and running each week. Thanks to Josh Whiteman for always taking care of my paint jobs and all that. And also congratulations to Patrick on a great season and his championship.
Well, enjoy the week break, man. Congratulations on the win. And we'll definitely be doing this again in a couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marty.
Chad Griggs in the STR number 27 takes the win, but the man of the hour, I've lost track of how many championships he's won in Renegades, but Patrick Spangler takes it, started 11th and finishes 5th. Patrick, how's it feel?
Good now. I was a little hairy there the entire night, so glad to come on top and glad this season's in 14 weeks. I think Chad would have had me.
I was going to go there next because this was a little bit interesting because of how many points Griggs would have put up on you. With the drop, with all the drops going in, it would have been up 37 for you. I think all it would have really taken, regardless of even if it was like you last and him first, you still would have been the championship. It could have possibly come down to maybe how many instant points you had. And I think I saw you had at least 2 tonight.
Yeah, ended up with 6 there. Sorry to Barry. Me and him got into it in turn 1, so I got 2, and then ate the wall. Spent the last 2 hours putting car seats in the car, so I got no laps in, and then I didn't really have a setup for here. So threw a setup in that I thought was going to be quicker in qualifying, and I qualified almost last. So threw back in a different setup I ran here last time. It was a Kern County setup I just Frankenstein for this track, and that's what I ended up running with, and just lucky to get out of here in one piece.
Well, you looked really good, though, tonight. Once you got all through the moves here, made your way up to a top 5. But really the big key part of the season was how early you set the bar. It was going to be tough for somebody to beat you.
Yeah, I think outside of here in Lucas Oil, it was either first or second each week. So just that consistency, and with the 2 weeks, I knew it was going to be close. I missed, so I didn't have any drop weeks, no room for error. So lucky to get out and survive this season.
Well, you've got the week break, and then going to be some fun stuff to enjoy going into next season. What are you looking forward to when it comes to
that? Just the break. I think we have a Chili Bowl event coming up. We have a charity event for one of our racers coming up too, so that's going to be exciting. I think it's even asphalt coming up, so be on the lookout for Roger announcing those. And then we'll get back into it with a new track with Husitz too. So lots of unknowns, and they could update the sprint, so we don't know. So looking forward to next season.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Just you and all the booth boys, even though they banned you tonight, for the awesome broadcast you guys put up every week, Monday and Thursdays, and every other time you have to fill in. Roger for being the brainchild behind this league, probably one of the longest running iRacing leagues and well-ran leagues on the sim. Trainwheels Racing, saw Brand got the Rebels Championship. Tyler had computer issues, it was overheating, so thinks that he couldn't race tonight, and I don't know where Atkinson was, but dad and uncle back home watching.
All righty, man. Well, great job tonight. Congratulations on the championship. Well done. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Thanks.
Patrick Spangler is your Renegades champion in Coast to Coast. It's been a great year of action once more. So with that being said, we will sign off here on tonight. Thanks so much for joining us here on Monday nights all season. On behalf of the Coast to Coast Racing League, all the fine drivers, sponsors, Roger Craig and his great group of admins. Till then, I'm Marty Sakala saying so long. Your winners tonight: Dean Reynolds in Open 358s, Joseph Granny in Rebels, Chad Griggs in Renegades, and congratulations to your champions, Anthony Morano in the Open 358s, Brandon Dittmer in the Rebels, and Patrick Spangler in the Renegades. So long, everyone.